Hey modders, my name is Olly and welcome to an Olly Mods video. Usually these videos are just trailers, but this mod I think needs a bit of background because it's kind of interesting. Now if you've played New Vegas for a while, you might have heard of Nerve. Nerve is a function of your charisma stat that modifies your companion's effectiveness in combat. It's mentioned on the Vigor tester at the beginning of the game, and there's a loading screen that claims, the higher the charisma, the higher the nerve. Nerve grants significant combat bonuses to all companions. Here's the thing. That is wrong. Your charisma stat does not affect your companions at all. You see, apparently Nerve was in the game at some point, but was disabled by a patch or possibly before the game even shipped. So, Nerve doesn't actually work, and that kind of sucks, especially since it means charisma doesn't really do anything in the game, besides give you a few bonus points to some skills and maybe get checked for a handful of dialogue options. So I've been curious for a long time as to how you would fix this mechanic and get it back in the game, because, you know, being a wimpy mob boss surrounded by tough guys is kind of an interesting character build and roleplay idea. Well, apparently Nerve was a hard-coded feature of the game. That's why you can't find any trace of it in the GEC. You have to go digging around in the EXE for the game. But if you do a little digging in the GEC, you'll find a perk called the Companion Suite that sounds a lot like Nerve, but it's not. This is just some nerf / quality of life perk meant to make companions helpful, but not equal to the player in combat. It's also not affected by the player's charisma in any way. Not that any of that matters, because this perk doesn't work either. You see, due to an oversight from Obsidian, the effects of this perk, some of which are actually missing, are never applied. Not that I blame Obsidian, because the reason why they messed up is kind of bullshit. Basically, they messed up because they tried to give this perk to the companions. Now you might be thinking, well yeah, that makes sense, why would it not work that way? Well, I can't answer that question, because the game doesn't work that way. You see, NPCs can have abilities. Abilities are a lot like perks, except they're not. Perks are different because NPCs can't have perks. They can only have abilities. Only the player can have perks. But you can't add or remove abilities to characters directly through code, no. They have to be manually assigned to the character in the GEC. But that doesn't work for what we're trying to do because we don't want this effect applied all the time. It also means you'd have to manually add this ability to any new companions. So, what you're supposed to do is add the ability to a perk which you give to the player, but in your add perk code you need to add a special flag to indicate that this perk isn't a regular perk that gives abilities to the player, but a special perk whose abilities are given to the player's teammates. Teammate status being something we have to manually apply to an NPC. Now, if you're a game designer or a programmer or just a good person, you might be upset and wondering why I have brought this madness upon your consciousness. Well, apparently my brain is broken in all the right ways, and I was immediately able to piece together how this ridiculous system could be used to jury-rig a fully functional companion nerve system that is 100% out-of-the-box compatible with all vanilla and modded companions with no need to adjust any scripts or hack into the executable to get it working on the engine level. Let's see it in-game! So here we are in the Lucky 38. We've got PFC Changs, who will be our target dummy for this demonstration, and we have Veronica, who will be doing some punching for the purpose of said demonstration. So right now I have 5 charisma, so Veronica will be doing exactly as much damage as she should, based on her weapons and equipment levels, all that good stuff. So let's see what that looks like, Veronica.
Hey.
84, 146. Hitting those 80s on regular attacks, 146 on power attacks, not bad. But let's see if we can do better. If we buff our charisma to 10... Ooh, much better. 121 on regular attacks, 210 on power. Not bad. So let's see what happens when we reduce our charisma to 1, the opposite end of the spectrum. Ooh, 59 on regulars, 103 on power attacks. Significant drop, but you know, that's what you get when you have misanthrope levels of charisma and your companions hate being around you. Amazing, isn't it? On the mod description, I'll have the details on the exact ways on how Nerve Reimplemented affects your companions, but the short version is a charisma stat of 5 will have your companions operate as normal, a charisma stat above 5 will buff your companions, and a charisma stat below 5 will nerf your companions. Now, I want to reiterate, I have not fixed Nerve. That's an engine level thing that was disabled. I don't have the skill set for that, nor do I know exactly what the substantial bonuses for Vanilla Nerve were. That's why this mod is called Nerve Reimplemented. I've simply added a hidden perk to the player that has functionality with a similar spirit to Vanilla Nerve. If you're wondering, I have not implemented the non-functional companion suite perk I mentioned earlier. For one, I think the nerfs it gives are kind of excessive, and they fight against the whole point of the nerf system anyway. But I did incorporate some of its ideas into my implementation of Nerve, specifically that having below average charisma will make your companions less effective. I feel this is a good trade-off since it adds a fair bit of incentive to not just set your charisma at 1 like every meme character build guide will insist you do. Maybe one day someone will fix Nerve for real, especially since this mod should help raise awareness that it doesn't even exist in the first place, but for now, you can use this mod. Enjoy.